not so accustomed to do that. Why? But yes, are we ready? A little bit louder. The sound is really loud. I can't hear you. A little bit. Are we ready? All right then. Without much ado, let me invite the panelists for this evening for the first session. So I would really love it if you have a round of applause there. Starting with Kavita Chakraborty, founder of Connect Books and Practus. Uday Ranpara, Managing Director, Unison Globus and Initor Global. Girish co-founder, Unison Globus and Initor Global. Let the class keep coming in. Gyanesh. Show here. So, over to you. Hi everyone. Am I audible? Thank you so much for joining in. This is my second event, so thanks a lot. Uh, okay, so everyone, the first 45 minutes we're going to have a fireside chat with all of us here who come from different cities. Uh, and if you have a lot of questions, please ask. There's going to be a lot of Q&A. Sure? Okay, so can I start? Okay, Kavita, starting with you.
Yeah. Start.
What was the size? You know, when you started, how did you scale up? Just a little bit of an overview. You connect. Started after my sabbatical in 2010. Really started as a freelancer from my living room. Never thought of any kind of ambition or something, bringing up children. I thought let me do something because passing CA in 1996 and starting as such in 2010 was kind of a frustration I was managing. As of today, we are a team of around 160 plus, almost 35 vacancies are there on our platter. The services which we provide is I would like to divide my services into three divisions. First, we call it very fondly as Connect FAO, that is finance and accounts outsourcing. So almost 100 small to medium sized enterprises working We are into outsourcing exclusively for the university. So we and the third one is Connect B2B, where we have around 20 plus CPA and it's a bit about your revenue growth strategy.
We call it zero because it is comprising of a consolidated company our CFO from where everything started we took there. And from there we started with the UK territory under the head of Initor Globus, the name of the company. And then we expanded starting my work as a sole proprietor. So that was the beginning. And since then, it was more kind of a traditional form till 2005, which is when we started to, do a specialization, especially for inbound investment and outbound investments. And that's where I met Uday. Again, that's coincidence. So that was basically a big turning point for us. Since then till now, as Uday mentioned, we are a Zero Group, as a Sinjorian company, which is our full service chartered accountancy firm. I would say a mid-sized CA firm, employing about 50 members, including 5 partners as a CA firm, part of one of the six largest global alliance called GTI, the only multidisciplinary alliance comprising of CA firms, accounting firms, CA firms, large firms, and consulting firms. So that's what about us as a Sinjorian company. About the Initor Global, that journey started somewhere in 2006 with the UK geography. So, as Initor Global, currently we are serving UK and Australian market with a team size of about 130 plus members between two cities of India, Hyderabad and Baroda. And we do provide in terms of services full accountant tax support function services to accountancy practices and medium and large size businesses in both these geographies. So in terms of services, so big bookkeeping, year-end accounting, indirect taxation, personal and corporate taxation, payroll, those are the full range of services as a back office support services we do provide. And the last one, which is we call as our next level journey, Unison Globus, with that we started our journey in US market. So as a Unison Globus, we are about over 350 plus members between three cities of India, Ahmedabad, Surat, and Hyderabad. Again, we can proudly say that we are one of the top 5 recognized only outsourcing firm in US market, specializing more on tax side of it, especially for US, because US tax is considered as one of the most complex tax systems in the world. So that's what about us. So all in all, we are about 500 people as a zero. Thank you.
Okay, so this is Gyanesh. So Gyanesh is the fractional CFO. He did his job in Dubai, and when he moved to India, he of course could not be compensated in the dirhams, and that's when he discovered the fractional CFO. So Gyanesh, you can just share something. And he's an engineer.
Yes, sir.
He's the only non-CA on this.
Yeah, the offline.
No, wrong.
Yeah. Thanks.
Photo की wrong है वो. Actually क्या ना बाजू से भी बाहर का भी लाइट है ना इसके लिए.
So, okay. So basically, yes, I'm learning out. I actually thought about doing engineering after college. So maybe
हाँ तो
I'm a pure Mumbai.
नहीं हेडसेट भी है और कॉलर भी है. मैंने बोला कि कॉलर है.
Something that I like. I got interested in business channels and started getting more interested in the stock market. So right after I finished my engineering, I took up a job on brokerage firm at like close to Globus. I think that's what I can learn. Basically what it's all about. I did equity research while working with those firms, the stock market firms. I worked in the market for 5 years, till 2011. And while working with them, I was also studying for CFA because that actually gives you some ideas about how to do equity research. After about 5 years in the markets, I realized I want to do something else, something new because I wanted to be in a business, not like be outside of business and do equity research and value those companies. So I went in and did my MBA. Post my MBA, I got a job in Dubai, in Toyota, and I worked for about 6 years over there in Dubai.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I came back. I mean, my family never moved to Dubai.
Warm light से. Warm light.
It's still here. So finally, I decided to come back to start my career.
Okay.
I feel Dubai is a little bit of dead end, especially
नहीं
for
warm light
finance.
ही warm light ही.
For every finance job in Dubai, they do require a CA. So I had to come back and start fresh over there. I did get a job here in an American firm.
नहीं वीडियो में देख रहा हूँ आपके सामने.
And that also gave me some more exposure to the American culture.
हम्म.
And because of, and then I joined Cocktail, I also applied for Cocktail.
हाँ सेम नंबर है.
And Cocktail is a really good lead source for me to get my clients. And all these years of experience as a finance business partner actually brought me out to be a good finance business partner with all of these clients that I have in the US.
हाँ.
It's been 5 years since I recruited this. 2019 when I started, and COVID only pushed it further. And making Americans realize that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. And if you're a good talent, you'll definitely be good.
And we have two managing director of Video Lens. So tell us a little bit about
Yellow light आ रहा है.
Video Lens and how do you
अगर मान लो कि येलो लाइट
zero to
सर का फोन है मतलब वार्म लाइट डाला है या पार्किंग डाला है.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here in Mumbai. I'm also a Mumbaiker. Both in Mumbai and all the other very fond memories of Mumbai. So I started my journey, after completing chartered accountancy in 2002, and started working with JP Morgan Chase at that time. In 2003, they were offshoring a lot of work from their back office operations from US into India. So my first stint at offshoring started with JP Morgan Chase, where I was in part of their migration team, process migration. Then I had an opportunity to go to US in 2004, work for a small CPA firm for a 6 months period, and then joined PwC in the audit practice. I stayed there for 10 years. In 2015, I was hired at BDO as an audit partner. And one of the unique things that I figured out was that BDO at that time in 2015 was probably the only firm in the top 7 firms that didn't have any offshoring practice. So I started, talking about the offshoring with our US leadership. Finally, in 2019, I was able to kind of convince them to start the offshoring business in India. And they said, my boss at that time said to me that I'll only start if you move to India. And that was a big decision because we've been in US for the last 15, 17 years at that point of time. So it was a huge decision for me to take that, but I was so passionate about doing something of my own, especially coming in my audit background. I used to audit a lot of venture capital funds. So I was always, close to the startups and, that ecosystem. So that excited me a lot, and I was ready to come back to India and start Freelance. So that's how Video Live's journey started. In 2020, we did the pilot. I was supposed to move in 2020, but then the pandemic hit, and I got stuck in US. But we started the journey with the pilot of around 75 people in 2020. Pilot was immensely successful. I'll go a little bit in detail why it was successful later, but we grew from 0 to 2,500 people from 2020 to till today. And part of that was, our focus on the people, first strategy. That's what led to, us growing from 0 to 100.
Vishnu, I have this question for you, right? So, over here, everybody, is their own, they have their own outsourcing firms, right? So, is there an opportunity for individuals over here to approach US CPA firms and start an office for them? Is there any opportunity?
Absolutely. I'll tell you my views about that. And sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. We always require to say this. Whatever I speak today is my personal opinion, although I come from the US. So just wanted to make sure that I have that disclaimer. As a look, there are, India is a very complex country. If you look at it in terms of the legal structure, in terms of our culture, it's not easy, to do business in India. So many of the big 4 firms or big 10 firms or big 25 firms, they have resources to invest in India, to go and take their chance at this. There are thousands of firms in US that doesn't have or know how to start a business in India, but doesn't have the resources to do business in India. And that's the opportunity. As Gyanesh mentioned, right? Like, people have figured out after 2020 that work can be done from anywhere. That was true even before pandemic, but after pandemic it became very evident that work can be done. So today, not only US, I would say every Western country, to that matter Australia and Pacific region as well, is looking to work, send work to it. So there's huge opportunity. Many firms have come up, will come up more. There's always a lot of opportunity to approach the firms and be their partner in helping them in developing an offshoring center. But it's not an easy task. I can tell you from my experience that even though I had support of one of the largest firms in the US, it was still such a challenging task to set up something. So, huge opportunity, untapped. I would say that we have only scratched the surface line. Every firm is looking to send work to it. And one of the reports that I read when I was doing the research for Video Rights said that India by 2030, India will be the only country, okay, with an excess skilled worker. Every other country will be shortage of the white collar person, finance person, or accounting person. So it's a huge opportunity. We are only, I think there are right now only 2,500 GCCs. People are expecting that more time it will be 10,000 GCCs. So you can imagine the ground that you have to play with. So I'm sure that there are many firms who are looking out for someone like experienced person who can help them setting up the option.
So you mean to say there's somebody working here as EY or at a Video Lives, they can also go and approach the US CPA firms, the UK firms who are looking at setting up in India, and there's a huge opportunity there. You can be a managing partner of the India business, GCC.
Yeah, see, what happens is generally many of the firms already have collaborations in India with because there are so many subsidiaries of US and UK from say India that has already been sending the work in. So it may not sound as easy, but what people are looking for is a solution, right? That you can provide a solution with your knowledge. You are able to sell that to them that you can do that practice. You know the India business. You know the US culture. It's very important to understand their side of the story as well. One of the things that many people have faced is because US people don't understand the Indian culture and Indian people don't understand the US culture of working. So it is very important. The reason I feel that I was very successful was because I had the opportunity to work in both the countries. So if you can, provide that value to them, I'm sure there is opportunities waiting for you to be the managing partner or to start the reform as an option.
I'll just take one more question and then we don't have questions. Correct? Okay, great. So I'll just take one more question. Okay. I just want to ask you then you handle the US market and Girish handles the UK market, right? And Kavita, you handle the US market. So I want to get insights from the US market. How's the US market right now? Like the elections happening. What more opportunities you show up? What is the thing that you guys want to tackle? I know you both are leaving to the US tomorrow itself. So give us an overview.
Thank you, Chandra, for asking. So thanks from the angle what US market is having. It's like the best part is as of now they don't have the exact required number of qualified professionals what they need in the market, and that's why they're looking in the other markets. As Vishnu rightly said that India is growing very fast and everybody is eyeing on India thanks to our Prime Minister who was taken India to the world's eye. India is something now, and at the same time, the way need is increasing. Like somewhere I read that almost 2 to 3 lakh CPAs are required every year in US to enroll, and only 50 to 60,000 CPAs are getting enrolled. So the gap is increasing year on year, and they need to fulfill this gap from some other country. They have to open global compliance centers or excellence centers, and that's where India, as of now, is leading. But other countries are also competing, like Philippines. Uh, Now, even I have heard Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. Everybody is competing with us, but we have lead as of now, and we need to take advantage of that. Huge work. Earlier, it was like top 5 or 6 companies were thinking to come to India, and they have their global centers in India. Now, top 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, all these companies are thinking that if we want to compete, if we want to survive the market, the way the competition is increasing, we have to have this. So now it is not the luxury to have an office in India. Now everybody has this as a necessity that they need, they have to do it, and everybody is in rush to do it. And that's where lots and lots of inquiries are coming in. Lots and lots of companies are opening up their captive centers in India. And definitely outsourcing businesses buzzing since COVID because everybody understood that work from home is a culture now. So now it has become necessary. What is the difference if somebody is sitting in US or somebody is sitting in India or somebody is sitting anywhere on this earth and they're working as far as they're working. So yeah, Girish or everything or add something like
So just quickly, since late 2000, this accounting and finance industry, especially is outsourcing, work started coming to India. Earlier, one of the main reasons for that outsourcing was cost arbitrage, for getting skilled labor. But later on, due to this global talent shortage, it is becoming a necessity. So the cost arbitrage is not as it was, in those early years. If I talk about more from UK market perspective, we were fortunate that we got our first and very top client, who taught us so strong and so detailed, so that beyond that there is nothing to learn. So that's what actually helped us. And if I give a quick brief about UK, UK is in terms of accounting industry is more sophisticated, more conservative, and more particular. and more long-term lasting in terms of relationship. If you could successfully build a relationship and convince whoever you are, there are high probabilities they would stay you guys longer irrespective of the cost differences. And there are tremendous opportunities in the also. Lots and lots of things are being outsourced from Indian market. Yeah, from different accountancy practices, from different businesses, and they really do look for the specialization. Yeah, that's all it is. Thank
I have a privilege to have this question. And Chitra, I just want to know few things. I have two questions. One is, when you start as an entrepreneur, you started with a very low fee or money. How does the journey happen for you? And how patient you were waiting to get your clients? And what is the time frame which you need to wait for? Anybody can answer because I understand that everybody has started very starting stage.
Thank you for asking this question. And earlier, I'd say 10 years back, if you have started outsourcing business, I would say you will need to have patience of 1 to 2 years. Now, because competition is still, because what I'm saying is every chartered accountant, every company, secondary, ICW qualified CPAs, because now a lot of people are doing CPAs from India, EAs, everyone, the first thing after they finish their qualification is they put their living profile as freelancers. And we are ready to work. So competition is increasing. And that's where I would say that anybody who's entering into it as an entrepreneur would need to have at least 3 to 4 years of patience, 5 years for bringing your PNL in. And if you have this much patience, trust me, there's a size of it. And there's a lot of work which all of us can manage. All of us can do.
That's a huge timeline, even 5 years.
We need to because there's lots and lots of investment that you have to do. Getting first client might be very easy. Serving one client by yourself is easy. But then there's the question that how to expand, how to grow. Because you don't want to be a professional who's working just for one client. You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to establish a company that people are working for you.
best. So my suggestion would be that go and work for it for 5 years in an outsourcing firm or in a company firm. Take the experience and then get into the entrepreneurial to start it.
Thank you for this. I have one more question, sir. Just want to make sure when you go to the clients, we have a tag of like, are you from Big Four? Or is this from Big Four which is rule basically? How do you break that tag basically? So when I go to a client, okay, we already have a Big Four in place. How do I break that tag?
So, look, I come from Big Four. I work for Big Four. And they're great firms.
Yeah, audio
But
setting.
there are clients who don't want it. You need to know your where are you targeting? There are everybody is looking for a big
Yes, yes.
experience person. Not necessarily. I've come across many clients who specifically say I don't want big four. Because the reason being they're great firms, huge volumes, and sometimes working in a big
ऑडियो
four
में जो
firm,
है
you can get stuck
माइक्रोफोन
into a
एरी
corner into one specific process.
ये
You don't
वाला
learn
है
the whole entire
जी
delivered on every
उसमें
aspect
कौन
of
सा यस 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 सर
that is
उसमें
why
कौन सा सिलेक्ट करना है
the best thing is to know your client, to know your customer. Make sure what are they
हाँ
looking for? How can you provide them with a new proposition to them in spite of not being from you? And that is what it is. That's why your credibility, your experience, that matters. Before probably matters for a job, initial job that to go into some other big companies. But from an entrepreneurial perspective, from offshore perspective, I can tell you the clients are looking for more people who are
the size of 500 people. So what's important for you is first what Vishnu suggested. You have to be building your credibility, reputation, be consistent behind whatever you are doing, and making sure that you serve the best, because they are looking for the best quality of servicing. What I can tell you, our first client in UK, which was 20 years ago, is again a client today. So those kind of things actually makes a huge difference in building the right and strongest foundation in whatever you want to do as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Should I? Yes. Question. I think, yeah, that.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rajesh Patwa. I practice as a virtual CFO in India. So first, one of the things that I find common about the panelists sitting here is all of you have started from scratch, and it's really inspiring and gives me a hope because I have a similar journey. And I think thanks for inspiring and setting the hopes high. Actually, I have a question for each one of them.
No, just one question.
Uh,
Only one question fast.
that would be really difficult. Okay. Is there, it is to you, Kavita, is there any specific skill set that we need to have? Like, as Uday said, that do we need to have a CPA or, any qualification that is required for starting outsourcing services?
So, before I straight answer your question, I just would like to add that when you want to start this journey, first decide what you want to do. If you want to enter UK market, US market, Australia market, Canada market, then the kind of a benches and the skill sets you will need will be huge, and definitely that call for the investment as well. So while doing so, whatever the research you are doing, and now I'm coming to your answer, whatever little exposure while selling or contacting the client, or the couple of small, big closures you have or had, just find out what is your comfort zone. If you're asking me as an entrepreneur, what skill set is required, I think the businessmen just need the passion. When I, as an entrepreneur, started, I surrendered my certificate of practice because I did not want to call myself a professional and work, be the part of the operations of or the delivery team. I hired the people for that. So when I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So if look, this answer could be different from each one of us. But if you ask me, I don't think you need any particular operational skill set to acquire to run this business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like to say something also. Like you're talking about skill set. I'm not a CA, and still I'm a CFO for like 6 companies. So I don't think the Americans are that worried about, your.
I think Microsoft's CFO is also not a CA. So I
Yeah.
completely align with you.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. So I was not surprised if an engineer is a fractional CFO. Can I ask one more?
No.
Catch up later.
Also, what I just tell them at the end of the year is you can hire your CPA for $2,000, $3,000, and I'll get your taxes filed. So the client and themselves will pay for it.
Okay, everyone can take one question. So
Yeah.
we'll take as many questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so-
directly to the point. Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Shafali over here. And I'm looking for opportunities in the field of international taxation. So, my question over here is when we speak about offshoring or outsourcing, so does that include only accounting work or it includes taxation per se, transfer pricing, and all the related documentation or CBCR report and everything? So, is it also included when we speak about outsourcing or offshoring?
I can tell you, you can do anything out of India, right? Right now, anything and everything can be outsourced, in my view. In the world of technology, there's nothing that we can't do. And when we first started the journey, people would assume that that we want to outsource the simple task, non-judgmental, repetitive, that is easy to do, remotely. That thing has gone with the help of technology, right? Today, we do pretty much everything that BDO US provides services to its client. So we are a captive unit of BDO US. We have thousands of services offerings that we provide to our clients, and BDO Rise is part of, I can tell you, majority of it. And we are only in the 4th year of our journey. So there are much more, things that we can do. There will be time when we can do more than what BDO US can do as well. Meaning we will have the skill set where we will help the US firm to go and sell that work because we have the skill set. So there is nothing that anything can be offshore in my view.
Okay, many thanks. I have few other questions, but we'll connect with all of you during networking.
Just a quick thing,
Yeah.
right on the point, on the top of what Vishnu said. Everything can be outsourced, this transfer pricing stuff. And where you can expect that from, especially from small and medium-sized market, then instead of CPA firms, perhaps economists in USA. There are better people who are looking for such kind of outsourcing opportunity.
Okay, many thanks for the inputs. It will really help us.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So actually, my name is Jai Joshi. I'm from Accounts Bytes Private Limited, a founder from Ahmedabad, and I have UK-based KPO outsourcing firm. My question is regarding something different. Actually, I have 15 years of journey as an operational, leading a team of 60 to 70 size of team. But right now, I'm an entrepreneur, and I have 32 plus team members over there. So being a team leader or manager or AVP is a different role rather than entrepreneur having 30 or 50 or 60 people. So my question is to like experienced people like Vijay Bhai and Vishnu sir or like other people as well. What is the differentiate that how we can manage? Like managing as a VP to 60 people team is a different size, and managing as an entrepreneur from 30 to 100, if we want to become, what should be, we have to take care about the employees as well as clients, and there are lots of things being entrepreneur, it's totally different. So I just want to understand that scenario from you guys.
Thank you. Okay, so he meant to say, you got the question?
Yeah.
Kavita, would you want to take it? How would you go from 30 to 200?
Yeah, anyone? Yeah, Kavita as well, because you
Kavita,
guys
answer
had
it.
that experience in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So, what I believe is when you are managing straight away 30 people team by yourself, then picking 5 out of that 30 people and having a 60 people team is what the game is. So, it means you have to build a leader among the team you have. That is very, very crucial. You need to pick up I believe in picking up internal people rather than hiring the professional board, which I've been suggested. But I always believe pick up the right people from your team because they know the culture of your firm. And there you need to be the smart one to understand who has that emotional intelligence to handle the team. That will be very brief answer of mine for this question.
To add something in that, as the number of people increases in the organization, what we need to have pointers. Number one, a good organogram can help, because small team, it's like a family. It's like everybody's friendly with each other. Even you are sitting with them and you are sitting in the center, and everybody, what they are doing, you know it. But as the team increases, the control keeps going. So everything should be SOP oriented. Standard operating procedure should be made for everything. So rather, to answer it this way, that as the team size increases, more and more system needs to be put in place rather than individual getting involved. So systems and processes will solve the problem.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mohit Cholera from Mumbai, a practicing chartered accountant. So I'm trying to tap this outsourcing market since past 1.5 years. But my question is, we have the required skill set. We have people on the bench. We have done our investments. We are maintaining that. But we have few 1-2 clients in outsourcing market. But how to grow that? How to get the initial few clients? So if we do not have any connects over there, so what would be the best process to reach out to them, or what should we do? What steps should we do to tap that and to get more clients from outsourcing market?
$1 million question that everybody wants to understand. One thing, that hum client kaise laye? What is the formula for it? What is the recipe for it? Because we all want it. Log to paas bahut hai. There are different ways and means to do that. Number one is social media marketing, low cost, because sitting here you can do it. But my suggestion to all the young entrepreneurs is always that visit the territory you want to work with. Go there, travel there, participate in different conferences, participate in different workshops, be with them, understand them, see what they need. And once you'll understand exactly what they need, you definitely will be ready to offer. So travel.
But okay, if I may add, is there any way you can approach clients? Like, how do you approach? How do you
Earlier
discover?
days, Chantal, it used to happen that people used to approach CPAs or EAs or accountancy firms through emails or LinkedIn connects. But nowadays it's happening, as I said, everybody wants to become entrepreneur and everyone is shooting email. Everyone is sending, I mean, even I'm not going to give work to anyone. I'm having 250 pending requests on my LinkedIn. So think about this thing there. How many requests are going from so many countries? Whatever I have interviewed my own clients, when we interact, they say that now we are tired of getting these emails, marketing emails, that we are outsourcers, work with us, or these LinkedIn connects that once we accept someone, the next email message will come that, oh, do you want to work? We are offering this service. So it is something, it has become like every day you are getting a call from an LIC agent that take your life insurance cover, right? You get tired of it. So they are tired of it. So now to gain the trust, now to get that entry, you need to sit in front of them. You need to sit with them in a conference where you start interaction by exchanging your cards, or you need to be with them in pubs and sharing a drink where they open up, they talk, and that's how you will start winning the clients.
Okay. Kavita, thank you. Would you want to add something to that?
You said you have handful of clients, right? I think Sales is like, again, I feel it's a dating. Something works for someone, something does not work for someone. What worked for me, that I'll mention, references have worked a lot. So these two customers, as very rightly mentioned, I don't remember who said so, but it needs 5 years. Yes. If you want to really see your P&L in green, have patience. But in this 5 years, what you will be doing is try to take care of your existing, whatever 1, 2 clients. Trust me, you will get the references. Number 2, what worked me is then there were a number of freelancing sites. I think I have no hesitation in mentioning on this platform, 90% of clients, then 10 years back, we closed. They are still with us. Then we billed them $500. Today, we are billing them $50,000. So we grew with them. We understood what they required, not trying to acquire or contact too many people, but just focusing. Today also, if I see a CPA is posting something on LinkedIn, I just follow him. I just try to chase him. What he wants, what he does, where he's going, who's his customer. And then the right time pay, I or whatever. When I say I, it's me and my team I'm talking about. So the sales is, it's an art, I feel, how you do it. Thank you.
Gyanesh,
Can
okay,
I add
yeah,
something
sure.
quickly? When I did for the first time, when I did my business development training, one of the sales executive taught me something very nice that I still remember, is don't approach someone directly for selling stuff. Okay. Approach them to provide the value that you can add to them. So try to connect with someone, your prospect clients, with some value addition, whether it's article about offshoring, whether it's how you're doing certain things, in such a way that when they need something from, any of the provider, you are on top of their mind. That is what you have to do. You have to connect so frequently with them with some value addition that when they need something, when they are out in the market looking for something, some services, you are on top of their mind. That's all you need to do, in my view. That's how you gain the trust of them. Because if you're going to keep asking, people will get tired and people will shut you down. It is as simple as that.
Gyanesh, would you want to add something about fractional CFO client acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my major lead source was TopTal. Now, TopTal is a really premium service, so even the clients that come there are really premium, and they know that every freelancer on TopTal is going to be of good value. It took me initially like about 6 months, even after getting into TopTal, to get the first job offer. I mean, the interview. Today, like there are many job offers coming on TopTal, M&A pricing and all that, transfer pricing and everything. But I don't apply to stuff where I don't have expertise in. I did venture into then making my own website, and I also thought about doing Google ads. You can also do content marketing, where you keep posting blog posts about what you think about the finance industry or the taxation of the US and stuff like that, so that when they search, then the keywords can hit you. But the biggest one for me has been referrals. My first client led to my second, and then after that a lot have been referrals, and also till today some new clients do come from TopTal. I became so busy that I stopped marketing. But now, yeah, I also increased my team size, and now what I'm doing is, like, as revenue comes in, I'm increasing my team size. I'm not doing it the opposite way, because I've seen also businesses do that, where they increase their capacity first and then they go down under when the revenue doesn't come in. So work 200% hard, and then hire someone to help you and cost that out.
Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Palash. Good evening, everyone. I'm a founder director of Advice Key. I'm into offshore accounting and bookkeeping services for US market. So my question is pretty much similar to the current question you all answered. So I mean, as pretty much said, I do have a team. I am working on a few clients, a few part-time clients, I would say for now. But the same thing, client acquisition is the main issue. So currently I'm pitching CPA firms. I'm planning to visit there. I do have a visa. But then the next, I mean, the answer we all received right now, that visiting there, meeting them would be the better solution. So how do we approach it? Because I've been mailing them, I'm ready to visit, but then I don't have any dates. So how do we approach it? Should I directly go there, or appointment based visit would be better? And how to
You can easily search for conferences in the US and just attend any conference, and based on that, based on you attending that conference, you can tell your client that I'm, by the way, attending this conference. Do you want to meet up? And if they really want to meet you, they'll sponsor your visit to their city. But the key is to, I mean, initially you'll have to invest yourself into going there, and then that gives them an idea that you're committed to the process. Also, another part I think I forgot to mention is that like people are saying you should be focused on what you want. So all other people in over here, their focus is different than my focus. Like I focus on personalized services. So I actually work during US hours. I work in the night, I sleep in the day, and I follow that same routine in the weekend, during the weekends. But I like that. It's not a cup of tea for everyone. And even my employees, only those people who are okay with such kind of a schedule, they join. But all of them are remote. They all work from their home. So it's all about your commitment to the client. I think you need to invest your own money also.
Okay. So as Kavita rightly said that it's like dating. If it clicks, it clicks. So you're trying, and if it's not happening, outsource it. In other words, outsourcing is the world. You're not able to bring the clients. That means somebody else can do it better. Give it to them. Hire business development people. Let them take care of it.
And I'm expanding into it. I have onboarded few chartered accountants, partnered with a CPA in India for taxation work. But the main thing, client acquisition, is what I'm lacking.
So you
I've
need a
tried
business development
freelancing
person.
sites, tried approaching CPAs, tried approaching clients directly. I mean, business owners, I would say. So what strategy would be better, or should we look upon, or what do they expect? Basically, the thing is, what do they expect out of outsource partner?
So it's very difficult to answer what they expect, because if I would have known, the whole market would have been mine. But what I have understood over my journey is they just need two things. One, they need to have trust in you to give the work. And when they need it, you are there. So just work on these two things. Build your credibility in a way that they can trust in you. And number two, be present in front of them when actually they are in the need. Because when they actually need that, I need some outsourcer, and if you are not in front of their eye in some or the other way, then they might choose somebody else.
Uday, if I may add, what is your client acquisition strategy? Like, do you have a business development guy in the US and UK?
So at every stage it changes. Initially, I remember in 2015 when we were introspecting that let us capture US market. The first thing we did, or we decided, is like, what is our strength? Who can do the marketing? Because we cannot afford, at that point of time, we were not able to afford a full-time BD person in India or US. So we decided that we will do it. I was into lecturing, and I was into teaching, and I am a visiting faculty with IIM Ahmedabad, and all these things added a lot of confidence in me. I said that I'll go there and I'll speak in CPA conferences. And that's what we did. I went there, I was part of the conference, I was on the stage, I was speaking in front of 200 CPAs. And after that conference, we won 10, 12 clients. And that gave further more confidence. So I continued doing that for 4 or 5 years. And then we decided, now, 16 hours of traveling, too much. I don't want to do it. And then we started hiring business development people. So now we have, in all the time zones, we have different BDs. We have BD team in India, but that comes with the scale. So initially, first you do, after a level, hire somebody where you can afford, and then that it keeps happening.
So a similar thing for or on the concept of BDO rise. I mean, talk with some CPAs for setting up their virtual office, or I would say satellites office over here. So we haven't closed anything yet, but how do I approach it? Because we are still discussing since the past 1-2 months. I don't know how to crack
Outsourcing
this out.
and offshoring, these are two different things, right?
Yeah. But then
So I'm giving you my perspective is completely on outsourcing side. Offshoring is completely different ball game. For offshoring, somebody big, they want to send work here, they definitely will come through a proper broker, and then there will be RFP you have to fill in, and they'll be having 4 or 5 different firms. They will evaluate, and then they will decide whom to give. It's a bidding process.
Right.
So it's for big ones. Small ones, if they want to open up their captives here,
Right.
say 2 or 3 persons captive, then it is exactly the way you are selling in outsourcing. The same story will apply there.
Same thing under their name.
But if I am you, and if I know that somebody wants to open up some here, and they have capacity of 5 to 10 FTs, I'll not wait. I'll immediately fly down. I'll sit in front of that person and say that I'm here. I was just passing by, and I thought that I come to meet you and start interaction.
That's the loop I'm into. I don't have appointment, so I'm not flying. That's the thing.
All the best. I'm sure you'll do it.
Okay. Thank
you. Yeah. Thank you. You know, guys, I also know a couple of people who actually go just below the building. They go to the US, they go to the UK, and they just call up the CPA firms and say, hey, you know what, I was just passing by and I'm just below. Can I just come and meet you? And many of them have got business in like crores of rupees, literally, recently. So this is what everyone follows, I guess. It happens. So any questions? Yeah. We can take 3 more. Yeah.
So my question is more from a fractional CFO point of view, because someone else also asked, you know, how do we actually move from a professional or mindset to entrepreneurial mindset? And here my question is, how do you hire your, you know, first employee? That dilemma of, you know, start paying him salary without having that kind of work as well. And as you mentioned, as particularly when we go more towards the fractional CFO or that kind of advisory or consultancy services vis-a-vis more of an outsourcing or offshoring, the quality of people or because then we don't have the, I mean, when you are starting on you don't have a brand name to attract that kind of talent, which you may be starting with 15-20 years of experience with some kind of pedigree or whatever. Then to attract a similar kind of, you know, profile when you are on your own, which maybe, you know, we will do replicate half of you or something of that sort. How you solve or how you went ahead about that? That is what, you know, maybe from a fractional CFO point of view, but I mean, open to other view as well.
Sure, that's an excellent question, actually. I mean, when we join as a fractional CFO, you basically tell the client that, you know, your entire finance team reports to you. Okay, so you try to go into the team and lead the team, and you try to not make too many changes in the beginning. In some cases, what happens is, let's say like the client's bookkeeper resigns or something, then I would offer them that, okay, maybe I can hire a bookkeeper for you, and they actually say that, you know, you interview people and stuff. Some clients are open to having the bookkeeper also then remote. So I obviously started in a way where I basically told the client that I'll hire a bookkeeper for X dollars, and then I went out and searched for someone to join me, and then that person did the work so well that then slowly I added other clients also to that person. And that's, so like I said, first I get the revenue, then I do the cost. It's not easy to get people to quit their daily jobs in India. For some reason, people are feeling very protected when they see that, okay, I've got a job on their resume, you know, like I cannot resign. So for me, for some people, I had to actually give them an opportunity to work along with their job, you know, do part-time with me. And then when they saw the amount of earnings that they could have, they decided to quit the job. They saw the stability, because, you know, the diversity is there. I've reached 6 clients. I can go to 12. So they know that, okay, this guy is not going to shut overnight. So that also comes in. And also, obviously, I'm paying above market. Whatever they're earning, I pay them double. That's how you attract talent. And that talent is also good. It's not like I'm not just hiring someone who's not good in even communication. Like, communication also very important in this market. Like, if they're not able to, there are some bookkeepers who actually, I think from the Philippines, there are a lot of bookkeepers also that are scourging this market, and they are very good in English, but there are sometimes common sense errors that they do, and that's something which we Indians have very well. It's common sense. For example, someone sees an expense on Gucci or Louis Vuitton, like, a person who doesn't have common sense puts it under ask my accountant. I'll ask the client what expense it is. But actually, if you Google it, you know that it's a luxury brand, it's not tax deductible, it has to go to owner's equity. So such small things are also important to analyze in who you want to hire. Do they have common sense?
Okay. Yeah. Ashish. Thank you. It's okay.
So I have a question for Kavita. Right, Kavita? I'm Ashish.
Hi, Ashish.
I'm a CPA having around 9 years of experience in US tax market, compliance, due diligence. I have one question. If I want to start my practice as an entrepreneur, as you said previously that there is a costing come around, right? And it will take 4 to 5 years to come your P&L into green. But for example, if I want to see that I want to come for $100,000 of business in the first couple of years. So what should be my go-to-market strategy first? Second, how much I should spare from my saving for the investment in the business, because I have to run my family, other stuff as well. So what should be the go-to-market approach? Because since you started in 1996, the market was different at the time you started as a freelancer, but now market is very difficult, too much competition. So what is your strategy right now if you start your CPA practice or offshoring business in 2024?
I would like to attend to you one-on-one, sitting as a businessman and a client, and give you the strategy. Anyways, joke apart. Look, I did not start in 1996. I'm a 1996 chartered accountant. I started in 2010. Coming to your question, you're asking me, you are a CPA with 9 years and you want to get into the practice. What I understand is, sitting here, you cannot practice. You need to be in the US. If you want to run a business of offshoring or outsourcing, sitting here in India, doing accounting, CFO or tax returns, the same sales strategy what we are discussing is what you have to do. Definitely you will have an upper hand because you have that qualification and a 9 years of experience. When you are saying you want to practice, I'm sure you have a license with you. Definitely that give you much added advantage. Now, how much investment you have to do for $100,000? That's something I think we'll have to sit down and chart it out. Which state, what kind of a returns we are talking about, Look, when you say I'm a chartered, look, I am into outsourcing and I'm very good for small to mid-size sector. I am not interested in a client who says I'm looking for Big Four. I'm not. So I know my market. So based on that, how long you will take to reach $100,000? So it's not that 3 or 4 line answer, but yeah.
Thank you.
I won't mind discussing more over a cup of tea. Okay?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
This is the last question.
Yeah, hi. I would like to ask, how does the US market view Indian professionals? I mean, do they trust us? So when I'm going to approach for my first client, so if I'm going to approach anybody in the US, I'm either the CPA or a small and mid-sized firm. So how do they view Indian professionals?
So just a quick experience I can share. When in 2006, I went to see accountancy practice in UK. The intention was to explore outsourcing opportunity with them. Whereas on, entering their premises, I was first being asked to show them my passport and valid visa, So what I mean to say is that the level of trust in those days, especially in 2006, was very less. But over a period of time, since, lots of such reforms took place, it has gone so high. So the level of trust is there. All what everyone has spoken, how you represent yourself, what are your historical credibility, how you pitch them, what kind of survey you made for them before meeting them, what they are into, what kind of value, as Vishnu rightly mentioned, can add to them, and are you really competent to deliver those values. Those things really matter the most.
And just one more. Yeah,
Great,
just one.
you can ask them.
Yeah. Sure.
Guys, can we continue the Q&A later on? I mean, being around. Is it okay? Sure? Okay, done. So I'll just conclude with one question. Do you all get a lot of acquisition offers? Because we see a lot of private equity investment happening in the US. So are they keen on acquiring smaller firms in India? And anyone would like to talk about it? Kavita, you can start. Did you get any offers?
Since I first interviewed with the Finance Story, that was my first online presence. Since then, we have received many offers in India and even from the US. I did mention it to you. The last month, I was really surprised that there were 4 offers of the acquisitions. So yes, I don't know, do I need to give you the credit? Though I'm not here for sell, but still, we did that first interview, and after that, I think Konnect came on, on the social media, and that is how. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, we do get from the US as well as a captive unit for the CPAs. We are not a captive unit. We are into outsourcing. We are a non-captive. So yeah.
So why do they want to acquire you? Like, what's their goal?
I'll tell you, one of very interesting, my guy is here, Nikhil Mehta, he can tell you, I will not name, but one of a big firm from the Ahmedabad. They said, you keep the business, give me your team. Yes, Nikhil. Yeah, he said, you keep the business and why don't you give me your team, We have interviewed a couple of your people and they know like everything. So definitely building team, it's a ready-made. So depends. Again, it's a business. So why not? So that way.
Okay, amazing. Uday, what do you want to take in? You can conclude.
So before this session started, we were discussing with Vishnu that in last 1 year, lots and lots of consolidation is happening at US level. A lot of PE firm which were earlier in the their investments were into IT sector. They are now eyeing accounting sector to be the next IT in next 10 years. So there is a huge investment of PE firms which is going to flow into accountancy practices in US, and to increase profitability as well as to get the work done, they definitely need Indian hand, Indian talent, or ready-made talent. And that's where, in fact, in last 6 months, we have received so many offers from different PE firms, different CPA firms, or other Indian PE firms to collaborate with them, to give them. I mean, earlier they used to talk that we don't take anything apart from majority of the shares. And in the recent calls in last 1 month, we have observed that they are like, okay, even give us minority, but we want to be in. So the things are changing, and next 5 to 10 years is for this industry, at least. So yeah, lots and lots of acquisitions are happening, and lots and lots of offers are coming to everyone, all the outsourcing firms.
Amazing. Vishnu, would you want to take this?
Yeah.
Well?
So, what I believe is that there are many players in the market and more entrepreneurs are coming in. And the way the market dynamic works is that consolidation has to happen, because you cannot have too many players competing for the same number of clients that we have. So right now, as Uday said, there's a huge opportunity. PE has shown a lot of interest in the public accounting firm recently. They never used to touch before that. Recently, yesterday only, the big merger news came up with Markham and CBase. So I think it's going to continue. Trend is going to continue. But what's also going to happen is that in India itself, there's a lot of consolidation that is going to happen in a couple of years, because there are too many players in the market. And whenever there are too many players, consolidation is a natural thing that will happen, and that will play out in itself.
Okay, cool. So guys, thank you so much. If you all have questions, you all can connect offline. and we'll end this session because we have to start the other one. Good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, a photo. Okay. We'll take a picture. Guys, you all can have some tea, coffee. We can meet after 10 minutes. Okay. Oh. Oh, yeah, you can come in the center. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know if this is on.
edition. At the onset, let me appreciate each one of you here because you have taken the time out to be with us this afternoon, and you're not going to regret it because definitely this evening is going to open up for you an avenue of options, opportunities, and possibilities. So, nevertheless, don't leave your seats. Tune into the frequency and enjoy this amazing evening. Before we get started, I would definitely like to tell you what is the finance story about and its incredible growth journey. So the finance story started as a Facebook page, right? Then it grew up into a website. In 2021, the CA story became the finance story. And now
Hello. Mic testing. Hello. Mic test 1 2. Mic text 1 2. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready for the next session? Requesting you all to please take your seats. We will start the next session in the next 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting you to please take your seats. We will start the session in 2 minutes. The second session in 2 minutes. Yes, because if I will it clear out, so hi guys, can you see this expression? Thank you so much. No, I will go to the update. Yeah, second time. Right approach. Please, I request you all. You mind, please? Please. If there's enough crowd, then only then we can have the next panelist to sit on the dais, please. Hi, I'm so sorry to bother you all. Please, take your seats.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, you mind sitting? Please. I request you, humble request, please take your seats. Hi, you mind taking your seats? I just want to start off the session, please. Thank you so much. Guys, can you please take your seats? Thank you, thank you. Guys, that's a great conversation going. Can you please take your seats? Humble request, please. We should definitely.
Otherwise, we'll not finish and we everybody has
I'm
scheduled.
waiting for the moderator, Chantel. Even all right, guys. I think we've charged up enough, and you have got a lot of networks, a lot of cards have been exchanged. So, without much of ado, let's start with the next session of this day. And the topic for this next session is climbing the value chain from accounting to advanced technical expertise, plus venture capital interest in this space. And to take us through this beautiful session, we have another 4 amazing speakers. But before that, guys to my left, I understand you all don't want to join the session here, but would you please lower the volume? The professionals to my left, I request you guys either to take your seats or lower your volumes. All right, then. The rest of you sitting out here, thank you for being such a lovely audience, and I won't keep you waiting more. So as I'm going to introduce them to the dais, I request you guys to please welcome them with a round of applause. The first one being Mr. Girish Vanvari, founder of Transaction Square. Mr. Vaibhav Manik, co-founder and partner, Kenav. Venkat, founder of Practus. Please keep clapping. Last but not the least, Gyanesh Kenya, founder of Signal Ventures. And Chantel, this one is over to you.
People want to hear from the investor.
Okay, everyone. Thank you again. I know it was a short break, but we've got a very interesting panel again. So instead of me introducing each of them, I'll let them introduce themselves. And if you all have any questions, we'll take the questions ASAP. Okay? So Gyanesh, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? I know you've invested in 105 startups. 105 startups while being a finance head at times. So can you just share a little bit about it?
Sure. Hi. Good evening, everyone. This is Gyanesh Kenya. Been in media for 2 decades. A decade with UTV and then Walt Disney Company. Been through the entire journey of UTV right from pre-IPO to sale to Walt Disney Company. I was the CFO for the broadcasting business of UTV. Post which I was with Times Network for the current decade, where I look after corporate strategy, digital transformation, pricing, and traffic and scheduling. So these are the 4 functions I look after, and also the broadcast tech on there. And prior to that, I was with KPMG for 4 years in consulting. Sometime in Times Network, where we launched our digital part for the TV vertical, is where I ventured into the startup ecosystem to understand more about digital, and where it became a passion from an investment and mentoring perspective, and have invested in 100+ startups over the last 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. Venkat, yes, what do you want to tell us about Practus?
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, thank you, Chantel, for having me. My name is S. Venkatraman. I've been running a company which used to be called as MYCFO, It is India's largest outsourced CFO services firm. We rebranded to Practus about 3 years back. What we are now looking to build is the first global consulting firm to be born out of India, right? So the question we are asking ourselves is, if there can be a McKinsey, BCG, a Bain, why not kind of create a consulting firm that can compete with them, but headquartered and born and worked with the Indian ethos? So that's the problem that we are trying to solve. We are about 250 people. We have presence in the US. We have an office in Atlanta. We are in the Middle East in Dubai, and of course, we are present in India as well. As I mentioned earlier, we used to provide CFO services. We continue to do that. What we have attempted to do in the last 3 years is to move up the value chain. So currently, we are working on performance improvement, cash flow improvement solutions for our clients, and this kind of comes through supply chain optimization, sales force productivity improvement, factory productivity improvement. So anything that can help the clients to either optimize their revenue, reduce their costs, or to improve the velocity of the cash flows is what we're trying to solve, right? So in one line, our job is to help companies to become more valuable from an enterprise valuation standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Girish, would you like to talk about Transaction Square and a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm Girish, actually. My background is, I started my career with Arthur Andersen. I was a decade in Arthur Andersen. And that's where he was my client in some stage of my career while I was in KPMG. Andersen collapsed, and I joined KPMG. I did 15 years in KPMG after 10 in Andersen. I was the head of the tax practice, used to do M&A and the tax work, was on the global team of KPMG in tax. Left in 2018 to become an entrepreneur, co-founded Transaction Square in 2018. And as you have a vision, we have a vision to be the McKinsey of transactions and the McKinsey of family offices for India and around the world. So that's what we are building today. We are around 400 of us. We are around 13 offices in India, 1 in Dubai. And the vision is to be a firm from India, solving transaction-related issues and solving for family office-related issues.
You know, Vaibhav, when I was chatting with Vaibhav, he mentioned that if you can be bold enough, there's a lot of opportunities up the value chain, right? That's what you exactly mentioned. So can you tell us about KNAV? First of all, is it a Indian firm? Is it a US CPA firm? Because you guys are ranked as a top 100 US CPA firm, right? So if you could give us a little bit of an overview.
Sure, Chantal. Friends, good evening. First of all, I would say it's very heartening to see all of you so inquisitive. Some of us were listening to the previous session, at least towards the end. And Chantal, thanks for putting this together. Let me tell you a little bit about KNAV and then I'll address the specific question. So we are an international accounting firm. We are headquartered out of the US. We started up in Atlanta and Mumbai. And then we saw back in the day, we started the firm KNAV in 25 years back. We saw an opportunity on the cross-border corridor. So if you look at an Indian multinational, even back in the day, 90s, late 90s, a lot of international expansion used to happen. So we saw therein an opportunity that, A, can we help this guy set up a base, a basic incorporation, as we used to call it back then. But we said, it's not just about getting a certificate of incorporation. What will you do thereafter? So we said, can we help you in developing a business plan? We started with some very basic fundamentals of doing business. So we created a tax firm, an audit firm, and an advisory firm. We're one integrated firm. Over 2.5 decades now, we've expanded to 7 countries. So US and India, we started. Then we founded a firm in UK, in Netherlands, Singapore, Canada, and recently 2 years back in Philippines. And it was both organic and inorganic. And we realized that one is the volume game, where obviously, you'll get back in the day $8, $10, $12, currently $18, $20 an hour for accounting, bookkeeping, all of that. We said that's not the game that we want to play. Again, it's a great game. And we had some amazing thoughts in the previous session. and not taking anything away from there. But we said we want to be the commandos here and not just have a battalion of an army team. And we said, can we really go up on the gray cell? So for example, think of a large Indian multinational, and it wants its audit to be done, statutory audit. Now, one is it'll go to its current set of auditors who are in India if they're present overseas. Sometimes it's cost prohibitive. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So we were an automatic solution, being a licensed audit firm in all the 6 jurisdictions. So that was how we thought about kind of starting the firm. And then we started tax, again, 20 years back, international tax, transfer pricing. We have seen the law emerge in various countries. So we don't want to just do the tax returns of an individual. We said we'll go after the corporates. And when you start a corporate tax practice, you have to get into high-end value advisory. So it was all about corporate restructuring, something that Girish and his firm does a wonderful job. Transactions, structuring a US transaction for an acquisition from India is very complex. It's got its own set of challenges. The IRS is as complex as it comes. So that was one area that we picked up in tax. And then we said advisory. So I used the word business plan. We don't set up a company unless the company has a very solid business plan. We tell them, why are you wasting money? It's not easy to do business in each of these jurisdictions. They're high-cost jurisdictions. So if you're going there, go with a proper 5-year business plan. What are you going to do after setting up the business? Do you have a marketing presence? Are you going to have joint ventures? Do you have the equity and the cash flow to be able to grow? Because there, I tell you, friends, you can put $1 million in marketing, you will get marketing dollars. So advisory grew out of that, and then we started investment bank or corporate finance, and the show continues. But I'll talk more about it. But that's a little bit about KNV.
Amazing. Girish, I have this question for you. What you started Transaction Square in 2018. Would you want to elaborate a little more on what kind of opportunities did you see with starting a GCC you mentioned? So if one of us want to do the same thing, how big is the opportunity and what's the opportunity like?
I think I'll give you a background. When I started, I was 44, 44, 45, 46 actually. Yes. I'm 52, 6 years back. So I was 46. Everything was going very well. So I used to have 4 secretaries. Wherever I went, there was a placard waiting for me. Life was on a roll. And it was an extreme comfort zone. I could travel business class. I used to be on a flight every 2 weeks. So London, morning, evening, New York. Life was on a roll. But then what I thought is that this country, the way this was growing, there were a lot of entrepreneurs coming up in this country. And there were a lot of people who wanted genuine advice and not just marketing advice. The big firms are more into this product, that product. We have an IFRS session. Like what you said, very few people would say, don't do this because it's not good for you. Everybody just trying to sell. Everybody is just trying to give a product. And people were getting misdirected. And I also was seeing that there were very few employment opportunities. There are only 4 big fours. And there are so many people. Today also, when I looked at LinkedIn, I mean, Shanna, you won't believe it, like people don't get jobs. So 20,000 people are CAs. You are in BCA. Celebratory, very good. But out of that, today, if you ask how many of them have got placed, will not be even 1,000. Because people don't get jobs. It's very difficult to get jobs. So I thought there's a twin need. And one was a spiritual need to create more jobs. So it was not a business. It was more that, let me devote the next few years to create jobs and help people who want to succeed. So that's the clients. So then I started. So with this as a background, I left my job. And my first day, and I have my son-like colleague Fahad behind, we started in WeWork. First day in WeWork. I chose WeWork because, I was used to leading a 2,500 people team and all. I thought, how will I go alone and sit in an office? Because I'll be alone, first employee of my own company. So I chose WeWork, because WeWork is vibrant. If you come here, you'll not feel alone. There's so much happening, right? So me and Fahad was the one who joined 2 hours before me. So he's the first technical employee of KPMG. of transactions. I'm the second. And then we started, and then I heard questions like, first client and all. Destiny perpetuates the journey. Destiny perpetuates the journey. So when I started, I broke FDs. I did an estimation of the first year of expenses. So I broke FDs equal to the first year of expenses. But only the first month I put money in the company. And that also remained in the FD till the 6th year now. So the journey perpetuates. Things fall into place. So I was never worried about the cost build-up. The journey was perpetuating then. And the firm built. It's 400 people now.
That's amazing.
And the opportunity is very, very big. Very, very big.
Girish, would you want to touch upon the opportunity when you say the opportunity is very big? For what kind of services? And
Opportunity is very big. I'll tell you, there are two worlds. One is the outside India world, and second is inside India world. Outside India world, people find it expensive to do. Compliance is going up everywhere. Compliance is the way of life. Automation has created more and more compliance. Tax returns, accounting, writing, Companies Act compliance. Compliance is going up very high. And people want to do the right things today. People don't want to do hanky-panky stuff. People want to be led the right way. And each individual, even a person earning, 5 crores a year or having a set of 50 crores, has 50 things compliance. Compliance is going everywhere. And I would say that, we are your GCC, have changed it from global capability center to be a capability center. Because the India opportunity is as big as the international opportunity. You look at the celebrities, look at the high net worth individuals, look at the employees of big companies who got huge ESOPs. Look at Infosys. How many billionaires it has? They have to comply. And they have now, with wealth, family offices up to 100, 200 crores each as individuals, bank employees, P head honchos, people like you who need help. So like a lot of people practice when you become an international company, like a lot of compliance. So the opportunity is not only in GCC, it is in capability center for Indians and overseas. And the opportunity is not in the glamorous work. So today, what am I wanting to change? The perception of Transaction Square. He told me that you're doing some great structuring. I want to change that perception. I'm doing work. Anybody who comes to me should be doing process-oriented work, compliance work, not necessarily the glamorous work. So compliance is not glamorous. It's a process. It's repetitive. Yeah. It requires skills which are people need accuracy along with technology. So I see a huge opportunity both in India as well as overseas. Just the first client will take you to many other clients. You have to be a McKinsey. Never go and sell your products. Just make the people aware you're doing good work. Amazing. That's it. No selling products. Cheap to go and sell somebody, hey, this is my flyer, give me work. Cheap. And these are tactics which don't work. I mean, if anybody comes to my office and says, I'm a lawyer passing by your office, can I come and see you? It's irritating because we're all in busy meetings. So today, in today's world, doing good work and making your work speak, letting people refer other good work to you is the way. I think practice also I see is exactly the way, that's the way you do it.
Amazing. Great. So thank you. So Venkat, would you want to add on to this and let us know how did you grow Practus? Because there are a lot of CFO advisory firms, but very few have been able to make a mark like you. You're one of the few. So what worked for you, and do you see the opportunity still very big in India? And you also have an office in Atlanta. So how do you manage that? How are you growing that? And if you could elaborate on the same.
So we started about 15 years back, and the need we saw at that time and the need we see today is completely unchanged, right? I think there's a lot of advisory and consulting work going on in the market, and there is a need for it. So this is not to belittle or demean the very high quality consulting and advisory work that's happening in the country or overseas. But if you really look at what entrepreneurs need, what companies need, is they need to move the needle on the ground. They need results on the ground, right? So from day one, we have been positioned and we've been very focused on being an implementation focused company. Don't come to us for advice. Come to us when you want outcomes, right? So Our tagline has not changed in the last 15 years. It is called ROI delivered. So what we are saying is that if a client is coming and giving me a fee, I don't want the client to look at the fee as an expense. If he does that, then I have lost the game. The way they should look at the fee is to think of it, we're all accountants here, it should be like a capex on which he should get a payback. And unlike a capex where it could be a 5-year, 7-year payback, our assurance is that you should get 5x return within 12 months' time. And the return should be capable of being monitored in the client's bank account, right? So we have been very focused on the ROI promise. We have built a tool that will tell the clients what is the ROI we have delivered. It's a very dangerous thing to do, right? It's like running a restaurant and putting a glass panel where the kitchen is. Anything that happens in the kitchen, the customer can see, right? So giving ROI visibility is a bit like running an open kitchen, right? So you have to be very sure about the hygiene of the kitchen. There have been quarters, we show this to clients every quarter. There have been quarters where we have failed to meet the 5x ROI, right? But believe me, there is not a single client who has fired us because of that. The simple reason is that there is no other firm which is willing to be transparent and show them what ROI they're getting, right? So sometimes I think it is about your own confidence and ability to stick your neck out. And this is not making a rash promise. You have to do your homework to know what is the ROI that you can commit to the client. But if you're willing to go that extra mile and actually deliver that ROI, I think there is a massive opportunity that is there in the market. I think the second aspect of differentiation is building the right ecosystem, right? It's building the right ecosystem of clients. Like we have been very careful from day one to pick only clients with very clean governance. We look at clients who have got good value systems. We look for clients who are ambitious for growth. So once you are very disciplined about working with that cohort of clients, and it's a virtuous cycle. You keep attracting clients who are of a similar quality. You start to pick clients where there is some governance issue, there is some tax ka chori, this that. I think you will start to get work which is of that quality of client. So it's very important to work with the right ecosystem. The same thing is equally true of your team members. You have to hire people who kind of live up to your cultural standards and value system. With a partner ecosystem, like I have a very good friend, Mitesh Katira of APMH. He's been our partner for a very long time, right? We have been very fortunate to have excellent partners, excellent team members, excellent clients. But it doesn't happen automatically, right? You have to kind of look at the quality of cultural fabric that you're building for your organization literally on a daily basis.
Okay, amazing. So Venkat, when you say partners, what do you mean by partners? I mean, like, do you work closely with a set of CA firms around you, or
we
is
do.
it just your team? Yeah.
Absolutely. See, I think I have no shame in admitting that we don't know a lot of things. Okay, we are very good at some things. We know how to deliver, drive a change management process to improve the profitability of a company and cash flow of a company, right? But if you ask me how many accounting standards there are, I don't know. Okay, Mitesh is laughing because I didn't know that even 10 years back. But I genuinely don't know what the auditing standards are. I don't know what the company secretarial requirements are. I don't file my own tax returns. So we live in a very cooperative kind of an environment, right? I mean, I don't see any firm as competition because there is always a scope to collaborate, right? Each one sitting here has got their own flavor. It may look like maybe KNAV and Transaction Square are possibly both doing international M&A, but you talk to them, there will be some difference in the flavor in what they're delivering, right? So what we have always believed is the client is not coming to us believing that we can deliver everything, right? The client wants us to take ownership of the final outcome. Now, how I do the cooking in my kitchen, the client actually does not care, right? So some of it could be done by my team members and some could be done through partners. Those partners could be lawyers, company secretaries, accounting firms, tax advisory firms, investment bankers. I see somebody like Data Champs in the audience, right? So they could be coming to us with an IT tool. We are very open to collaborating with people who have got something differentiated to offer to our clients. Principle is very simple, Chantal. The client has to benefit. If the client benefits, we are obviously very happy to partner and collaborate.
Amazing. So collaboration is key. In the world we are in today, you have to collaborate with everybody, and that's the way ahead. Okay, so Venkat, I have this very obvious question because now the word fractional CFO is like a very everyday word, right? Earlier it wasn't. So how difficult is it building your team? Like, Has it changed since previously and today? Like, how is it?
See, I think the first few team members come to you because of who you are as an individual, because there is no brand. So you are the brand. People who know you from the past, who trust you, join you, right? And then you got to work with them to kind of build the practice. As the company scales up, it kind of acquires a persona of its own, right? Where the firm is not you, right? And you have to be very clear that the firm has got a life of its own, a brand of its own, a personality of its own, a culture of its own, which is distinct from yours. Once it scales up to the point, then it is the brand that should kind of start to attract the talent, right? But I think as founders, the one thing that we should take direct and personal responsibility for every day is to maintain the culture of the organization. Because you let it slip, you have the wrong team members coming in, you don't know how quickly the firm can go down, right? So that is one job that I think any founder should never delegate. Maintaining the cultural fabric, I think, is absolutely key to scaling up the organization, particularly because we are all in a services business, right? So end of the day, how we come across to a client, what we deliver is directly proportional to the quality of the team that you have, right? And so therefore you can't, and once you scale up, the first thing you realize is, the quality is great when you're doing the work yourself, right? Somebody else steps in, does the work, it may not be of the same quality, but yet there is a subtle promise that you make to the client. The client still expects a certain quality because they come to you as a firm. So how do you build that framework or that ecosystem or that infrastructure that assures quality? I think the only way to do it is by controlling the type of people that you're able to attract. And I'm not talking about whether somebody is smart or not so smart. It's a question of whether people come with the right attitude, right? People with humility, the learner attitude, you are able to build a group of people like that. I think the firm can really go places.
Okay, cool. Like under 1 minute, can you tell us a little bit about you expanding to Atlanta and what is the opportunity do you see there? Is it because you were so large in size, it was easier for you, or say if I want to start something in the US and provide services there, would it be easy for me as well to do it?
So see, first thing, Chantal, all this sounds very glamorous and quote unquote sexy, but it is not. Okay. So I have had the good fortune of working with all these three gentlemen here in different capacities. So we were very inspired by the KNAV journey, right? So I met Atul Deshmukh and Nishtha Sharma, who are co-founders along with Vaibhav. I went to their Atlanta office and they were extremely gracious. And sometimes, life gives you inspiration from some very stupid things, right? So their office is in, what commons is it? Hammond Drive. And, from Atul's office, you can actually see a beautiful lake, right? And I saw that lake, there was a beautiful fountain. These are things you don't get to see in Mumbai, right? There are no parks, no gardens, So there is a beautiful lake and there were some swans or ducks in that lake. And I fell in love with the place. I said, Atlanta is a place to be. Now, is there a scientific logic to it? No. But sometimes, the reality starts with a dream. And sometimes dream starts with experiences like that, right? So I think if you ask me what is the scientific explanation why we started in Atlanta, there is no scientific explanation. Only explanations are like the lake outside Atul's room, right? So we started, right? But, the reason I'm calling this out is, see, when something clicks, people believe there is a lot of planning and a lot of science and some fantastic strategy behind it. Sometimes it is just luck. Sometimes it is grace. Happens, right? So one should not be close-minded to that. Is the limited point I'm trying to make. And the other thing I also want to tell you, US, especially those of you who are trying to do this, is a super expensive place, right? I think Weber mentioned about $1 million. We are a firm that has actually spent $1 million and not got the return for it, right? So anybody wants to know about all the mistakes that you should not do in your practice, please come to me. I can write a book, right? So there is nobody who has succeeded without making their share of mistakes. I think the question should not be how you succeeded. The question should be, what are the mistakes you made that I should not make, right? There are ton of things that can go wrong in an international expansion. It took us 4 years, okay, to set up our office. That is a kind of time investment that we had to make, and we were not idle, okay? We were working all those 4 years, but it took 4 years for us from the first trip we made to the KNAV office to the time we were actually able to afford to make the investment in our own office. So these things take time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gyanesh, I have a question for you. Okay, when we talk about investments or angel investing, we don't think about CA firms or typically consulting firms. So, do you see, firms today should look at raising some cash, and would you, as an investor, invest? What's your take on it?
See, these are largely services business. When you look at CA firms, advisory firms, consulting firms, the stage at which we come in is pretty early. It's seed, pre-seed stage, revenue, early revenue or pre-revenue stage. That's where we come, and we have a huge risk appetite, and hence the return expected is also accordingly, because our ratio is somewhere around 25% success and 75% failure. I mean, that's what we are trying to see how we can increase it, because when you get into startups, people would say 90% fail and 10% only succeed. But that is where the mature investors who are coming in, who have experience, they are trying to see how to take it up. But what we expect at an early stage is a growth of 2x, 3x every year. The multiplier has to be in x and not in terms of 20%, 40%. And that's where any services business actually becomes difficult, because it's slightly linear. Of course, you can see a multiplier, but yeah, once you cross a VC stage and come to a PE stage, I think we see some of the VCs and PEs, then this space becomes attractive. But again, it hasn't been, because not many Indian firms, like Venkat mentioned his vision about being a consulting firm from India for the world. And then that is how they want to be known. There have not been many cases. Plus on that, again, many of the firms are known by their partners. When a private equity firm or a venture capital firm, when they look at a company, they, apart from the business idea, apart from the problem statement, apart from the scale opportunity, they also look at the team. Will this team be able to take it forward to the vision which they have laid out to? Often in case of CA or advisory firms, it is the partners or the founders who, on the based of which the entire business is driven. So now I'm seeing that that gets changed. Venkat spoke about the culture fabric on there, and Girish is building an organization, from a structuring perspective. I think now is the right timing for venture capital firms and private equity firms to look at these businesses, which are not growing at a percentage but a multiplier on this. And culture, organization structure, as to after the founders, after the partners, who are the next in line, how are they willing to take forward the business, what are the kind of responsibilities they are handling. So that becomes very important, and that's when the business becomes investable by a private equity or a venture capital firm.
Okay, thank you, Gyanesh. Okay, guys, so I'll take one more question, and then we'll take questions from all of you. Okay, we have to keep the questions short so we can take as many questions as we can. Okay, so Vaibhav, I have a question for you. Can you give your perspective about acquisition? So if there's a smaller CA firm, or if there's an outsourcing firm, would you be keen to acquire? Same with Girish, like you're building your own GCC, but if there is somebody, with a team of say 50, 60, would you want to acquire? And also your perspective about angel investing. Why not, when we are in the startup world where, you can become $1 billion in a year, why are CA firms and outsourcing firms not fundraising? So Weber, you want to take
So the first one on the acquisition,
Yeah.
I think there is never a yes or a no as a direct simpliciter answer. Of course, we would do inorganic growth. We have grown inorganically. We would always look at good firms, quality firms. That the key question is the why of it. Then comes the how of it. Now, why would I want to acquire? And why would I want to acquire a firm of a particular size? So I think that's the first, a two-pager in the mind, and then on paper, that the firms have to be very clear. So am I acquiring a client list? Am I acquiring people? Am I acquiring processes? Am I acquiring some special tool, a technology tool, some IP that was created over time? What am I really buying into? So we have to be clear. Remember, this is not a business that you're buying. You're basically investing in a professional service firm, which ultimately means people and processes, and therefore clients. So you have to be very, very clear on the why of it. Now, we have acquired firms. We picked up a firm in Singapore earlier this year. It was a 72-year-old vintage firm.
Yeah.
We picked it up because we saw 400 audit clients. We are an audit firm, which is one of our key areas. And we had about 50 odd clients developed in Singapore over years. Here, suddenly the practice can grow, manifold. And Singapore is one market where audit is not easy. So for us, the why of it was we wanted to have a much stronger audit presence. The big fours are struggling in Singapore for doing audits. A lot of the mid-sized firms are struggling. We were constantly getting, and there's more a conversation actually. Each one of the big four in India is after us to get audits done in Singapore because their local counterparts are not signing for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, some cases 2 years. I'll not name the firms, but audits of 2022 have not got concluded in Singapore as we speak. That's a challenge. There is a systemic challenge. There are people issues. So that's one reason. So you have to be very clear on the why of it. Second, one needs to plan for the capital and cash flows and the culture that Venkat beautifully mentioned. See, it's not easy to run an integrated firm. It's been about 7-8 months. We are seeing how we have to integrate a 70-year-old firm after 1 year of diligence and doing work with them. We knew the firm for 20 years. We knew the partners. Still, when you start running the firm and when you're 100% buy, you are owning the firm, it's a different ballgame. So we have had integration teams spending time traveling over from US, from UK, from India to Singapore, spending time integrating ERPs, integrating our processes. So remember, friends, acquisition looks great. To borrow the words here, looks glamorous, but it's a lot of hard work. And 60-70% times we are told in business acquisitions don't work. So that's another criteria, very, very important. Take your time, be very selective, but consolidation is the name of the game, Chantal. You have to work with companies. But one can also look at different types of acquisition. You can pick up practices, you can pick up a partner and a team. There are easier way to do as opposed to buying entities. So really it's, well, we call stock purchase, asset purchase in corporate finance language, really getting a firm for a brand, for a local presence, for clients, one has to be very, very careful. And then yes, acquisition definitely is one good way to think if you can fund it and you have the resources. Now, coming to your second question, again, angel investing. I think that's expertise of some of the friends here. But I would never say no. We have had family offices invest in professional service firms. US, UK, there are transactions happening very, very often. You keep hearing the larger transactions in the press. Every second week, you will see an X billion-dollar firm buying a Y billion-dollar firm. But what is not reported is the smaller transactions. But typically, angel investment is a little challenge for a lot of reasons that he already mentioned. One has to be of a size and a stature to be able to really generate the cash flows that are needed, which are consistent for an investor mindset. I think what may be easier and better is work with smart firms, create a little larger firm. There are a lot of ways to work together. You don't have to merge on day one. It's a courtship before you really marry. There are a lot of ways in which one can work together and create a size. That's where you'll become more investable because certainty in cash flows, a comprehensive bouquet of services. So again, I'm just mixing this with the why of it. Whether it's an angel investor, whether it's a family office, whether it's a fund or institutional investor, they all look at certainty of revenue, certainty of growth. So it's not that an angel will not invest, but are we really investable? That's the question. And there are certain few tenets of investment which one should always look at. I personally have invested, not too many, but in a few firms where we saw, and not really just accounting firms, but finance firms, fintech firms, other businesses within tech world, and you realize whether it's a 75-25 or 80-20 or a 90-10, you're going to lose your money. So remember, you are fighting the odds of getting an investor who's trusting you with equity money, which means that he gets nothing if you don't do well. So you have to be first thinking, am I really investable? Am I ready for an investment? See, taking an angel investment of ₹1 crore is not going to make a dent in the investor beyond a point, but you will lose reputation, prestige, all of that if you can't deliver it back. So you'll be careful. And when you take private equity, you're taking a partner on board, which means every dollar that you spend, every rupee that you spend, you can't be going around in a Mercedes car at taking private equity. It doesn't work like that. You are accountable for a growth. Now the growth can be defined, cannot be defined, but you are responsible for that dollar. So yes, angel investments, family offices will invest. The question is, are we ready for accepting an investment today?
Okay. Thank you. Girish, would you want to add something?
I would say I've been approached by quite a few actually for investment in my company. what tempted me was that if I went to the US as a KKR portfolio company or a Blackstone portfolio company, my audience would be much bigger. I would get an entry to all the global firms. So that was a big upside I saw the way I looked at it. Then why didn't I do it? I didn't do it for one reason. And that reason was that I would have to adhere to a business plan. I would have to adhere to a growth. I would have to adhere to profitability. And then today I'm at a stage wherein if something is not good for the client, I may invest something in a client. And at the end of it, I may just say this deal is not good for you. So I have the courage to tell the client, don't do it. Then I would be forced myself to make a deal happen or make something happen to meet my revenues. So I did not want to compromise the professional integrity on a budget or a target. So that's why I chose not to do it. Though it was very tempting because upside is huge, but then again you become in the sales mode. And so today I think if you go anywhere in this world, I can tell you, we have around 1,500 clients. Nobody will tell you that we got tripped by Transaction Square or we were asked to do something which Transaction Square should have not told us. Nobody was. That's the most important thing for us. Most important thing for us.
Okay. So that's very bold of you, okay, because you really broke your FDs and everything to do that. So what I want to also add is recently we saw Unicus, they've raised almost 22 million, right? So from what we see from the India perspective, I guess they are the only ones who've done something like that. I could be wrong. So would you want to share a little bit on those perspectives, like Nexus and has invested in them? Anyone can take it. Whoever you want to take it. Okay.
See, they are building two things. One is the service aspect of it and also the product part of it. And product, anywhere when you build, you need investments on there. And plus the pace at which they want to grow. I mean, this was the right timing for an ESG practice, or climate tech. So it was also, and to take that leap, that head start is where probably if they would have gone with own funds or generating cash from their own practice, it would have taken time. And that is where to build a product and practice really fast to, I think within 2 years, they have expanded to a few countries. So that's where probably the funding was required.
Okay. So it's the service side plus the product side. It's just not the service aspect. Okay, cool. So we'll start taking questions. Okay, you can, anyone? Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Lovely to be here. My name is Vidya Ashik Modi. I'm an Australian chartered accountant by profession and a solo founder of my startup company, Pinnacle Advisors. It's my first event today, so thank you, Chantel, for having me here. So quick question. My question is for the panel. As startup at the moment, in generally across my domain, which is outsourcing business, is that people are kind of competing when it comes to costs, wherein they are thinking that let's do volume business compared to the quality services that we can give. Now, in today's age and day, where it's so difficult to keep employees motivated to have the ambition of growth compared to the reality of getting that net wages in hand at the end of every month, what would be the strategy or an advice from somebody like yourself who's been in the industry for such a long time, wherein to
when he tries a paddle sweep or a dill scoop or something like that, you don't associate that with Chiteshwar Pujara, right? But if you're Surya Kumar Yadav, I mean, that's life for you. I mean, you will play all these, very fancy looking shots. So question is, what kind of organization are you looking to build, right? You cannot be everything to everybody. It's not possible, right? I'll probably take the liberty of saying this on behalf of all of us in the panel. I don't think any one of us has ever competed on cost, because that's a game that nobody wins. I think end up sometimes ruining your own reputation and creating challenges in how to manage your costs. Plus, you end up kind of spoiling the market for everybody else, right? So my view, and this is purely my personal view, is got it's not a prescription or an advice of any kind. Is that I think it makes sense to play the value proposition as compared to the cost proposition, right? So just because it is outsourced, one should not come to the conclusion that cost competitiveness is the only way to win the game. There can also be a value competitiveness, right? So maybe you're costlier than competition, but if you're able to provide a differentiated service, maybe it's a more real-time service, maybe it's a more timely service, maybe it's a better quality service, right? So it depends on what kind of service you're doing. And if you're able to communicate that proposition to the client, right, there's no reason why you cannot be a higher cost provider and yet be successful, right? So I think somewhere I feel that maybe the inherent assumption in your question seemed to be that I have to keep my pricing low. I'm only kind of deliberately provoking this thought in you to say that, look, why start with that assumption, right? Because it may not be a sustainable strategy, because salary costs are going through the roof. Any one of us can tell you that it's extremely hard to find the right people, and even if you find them, it's harder to kind of retain them, right? Now, in a scenario like that, if you're also not going to be paying them competitively, then it's not a very. So you got to sort out your supply side first, right? Before you go out and get the demand, you got to sort out your supply side. So I think one has to look at this a little bit more holistically. The other thing also, and I have made this mistake when I first started, is that I expected people to kind of come and work with me at a discount, right? Which is a very wrong strategy. I changed that within 12 months, because the job of taking the risk in the business is yours, not theirs. So why should somebody compromise on their existing take-home pay and come and join you when you are enjoying 100% of the equity? It makes no sense, right? So you'll have to be competitive when you're attracting talent, right? So you'll have to me, there is a bigger problem to be solved on the supply side as compared to the demand side. There's a lot of demand, right? But getting hold of the right team to be able to service that demand, I think, is probably a bigger problem that needs to be solved.
So I'll just add a point to that. Look at the Japan-India corridor. I see no reason why the Australia-India corridor cannot be built. There are at least 8 or 9 firms in Mumbai who focus only on Japan as a market. And whether you call it offshoring, outsourcing, out-teaming, whatever term one may use, but about 90-95% of the business is Japanese clients who are setting up something in India, or there's something in Japan that they're outsourcing to them. The same logic should apply to whether it's Australia or any of the other APAC countries. I think you need to be on your game that what is it that the Australian company really wants. And since you are an Australian chartered accountant, a CPA there, practicing here or being here, if you can define that matrix, here are the 5 things that they need, and this is what I will provide to them. That the value really comes from what is the advice you are giving. See, one is should be accounting work. So if you look at a grid, right, start with bookkeeping, accounting, then get into some payroll services, get MIS, start going up the value chain. The question is, where do you want to play? So the moment you become an advisor and then you become a trusted business advisor, we have clients of 25 years vintage who have never left us. 20 years vintage, a lot of these clients, because they've seen that over time they've started depending on the advice. Then they don't look at the price. So cost will matter initially to get in, but once they start seeing the value that you deliver, cost will become irrelevant beyond a point. Yes, you within the
what I feel is today degree is a burden. So if a person comes to me, I'm CA, CFA, ICWA, CS, I think he's a burden because too many degrees make people rigid. What talent is required today is figure it out people. Like let's say today, suppose this stops. Chantel should have a team that who can figure it out and put it in place and not say, oh, now I have to call that person. I don't need to change the bulb, let it leak. It's not a part of my job because you won't have an admin, you won't have an HR because all of us can't afford all that. So clearly figure it out people are far more valuable than rigid, talented people. So 25 upar se are very talented and good, but then others figure it out people who are very agile, very multi-faceted, multi-talented, so on and so forth. On the cost front, I actually have a differing view. The market is moving ahead on cost. So, like let's say when a telecom company sets its budget, it never sets a revenue budget. It sets a budget. How will they provide the same service at a lower cost? So, if you see your telecom bills, they're only going down year on year. If you see many of the services which you're consuming, it's only going down. Broking is going down. I mean, financial services are going down. So consultancy should also go down. No, like if you have to file a return for 1 lakh rupee, somebody will do it for 10,000 rupees. Then you can't say that no, array, I have the best talent, I have a relationship, and relationship people change. So CFO changes, he gets a new consultant. Oh, this guy will do it at 1/4 the cost. So cost has to be. You have to be effective. You have to be effective. And how can you be effective? By using technology and by understanding that you need to figure out people who will do different kinds of stuff and who will build people from a different strata and not this, that Big Four is offering me this, Big Four is offering me that. So please never get out of your cost thing. The client will not pay you for your inefficiencies. The client will never ever pay you for your inefficiency. I will go and have a 100 rupee pizza. I will not pay 200 if I get the same pizza for 100 rupee. However loyal that restaurant is, eventually you lose. So you have to be efficient. You have to figure it out, people. This is very, very important. Very, very important.
Yes.
Doing that.
Any tips? You're a thing out of the box. Like he asked, you spoke about relatives, friends. In my firm, at any point of time, I would have at least 40, 50 friends, children, friends, clients, relative, absolutely value added. Brilliant people. Somebody is doing his summer, somebody is doing his interns, young ideas, young blood. They send their children, they send their friends, then they invite me to speak in their colleges. People go. It's absolutely fantastic. We have to think out of the box and hire people who are hungry and figure it out, people. Fahad is the most figure it out man I've known in this world. He can figure out anything. Tomorrow, if we say, now, let's manufacture medicine, we will figure out a way to do it. So, like, not, array, medicine, I'm a CA, I can only die doing tax. Absolutely rubbish.
Tech could be one of the answer in today's world when you look at, costs.
Yeah.
Hello. My name is Dhirendra Tiwari, and it's a wonderful experience over here to meet all of you great people over here. So Girish, you mentioned that you have to have a client which are HNIs of India, and there are many high net worth individual and lot of clients who are coming from Infosys. So my question is that how can we create a brand of ourselves so that we can reach to those people, those HNI people, and we can deliver them a good service so that they can also recommend to their friends and family members?
I'll tell you, very important. Suppose Chantel, I'm coming to Dubai, and I go and meet Chantel. Chantel, I have an evening free, and I have a friend to take out for dinner. Can you recommend some restaurants to me? What will you tell me?
I will recommend, typical local places which you can.
Will she recommend a McDonald's to me? Will she recommend a KFC to me? Or will she recommend a Subway to me? She will recommend something which is unique. Similarly, when my clients were asked, like, do you know of a good transaction advisor You will not say KPMG, EY and all. It's boring to say that. It's outdated. Oh, I dealt with Girish. Experience was very good. Here is his number. Take it. If you have your first client happy, the pipeline will perpetuate. That one client will tell his 4 people in Infosys that, look, guy, I dealt with this guy. He's good. But your first client has to be very, very happy. How do you get that first client? That God sends his angels.
And over deliver is the formula, I would say.
It's not over deliver. It's about deliver. It's very irritating if you call up something 15 times. Have you ever heard your doctor call you and say, I gave you medicine yesterday, how are you feeling? It's silly. It's professional. It's professional. One client takes you to other client. I think like people say that I was tax head of KPMG, all the clients would have just flown. Out of 1,500 clients, maybe only 25, 30 will be from KPMG. Others are all the clients which one client referred to another. We don't sponsor any events. You've never seen us sponsoring any events, and Times hates us for that. You come up with sponsorships and all that stuff. We don't do that. We don't sponsor events. We don't go out and do offsites. We don't give awards. We do nothing. We just do good work.
No, I think what you're asking, I can relate because a close friend of mine, he has started this company called Billionaire Basecamp, okay, which only advises NRIs and ultra HNIs, and the start fee is about 1 lakh on there. And he started with pandemic, and today it will be close to 1,000 clients on there. But he rightly pointed out is that the first few clients, you make them happy, and the way you make it is a deep understanding of their situation. I mean, when it's NRIs, mostly these are Microsoft, Apple, Google guys who have in those time during the pandemic, encashed significant amount of ESOPs on there. So it's about helping them what is the right time to exercise those ESOPs, how to bring that money into India, or how to take money out of India on all that. So these are the typical problems. If you understand it very well as to what are the real problems of theirs and what is the effective solution, and happy, they will refer.
Yeah. Thank you.
That I know you have questions. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Akash. So I've got this question. How do you build basically a brand for a firm with a limited budget? Today you are into a social media world wherein you have to show to everyone what you're doing. So what all tips would you like to give to an early stage firm in terms of building a brand for a long-term future growth?
Okay, so I think it kind of goes back to what you stand for, right? So when we started MYCFO, I recollect that we hired ad factors, okay, which was like, crazy. I mean, it's completely way beyond our budget, but we wanted to work with the best because I don't come from a sales or a branding or a marketing background. So we said, let's work with the best to kind of understand how to build the brand, right? And that was a hugely invaluable experience, right? So as I said, we'll have to go back to why, right? So why we had the name MYCFO is that it was inspired by Hamara Bajaj, right? I mean, for people in my generation, definitely those in the dais will remember that old Baba, who used to blow moisture on the scooter and rub it. And, it was like Hamara Bajaj, right? So we said, just like how the Baba loved the scooter, our clients have to love us and they should say ki ye mera CFO hai, right? That's why MYCFO was born, right? So all of the branding, so why we came up with that name was understood by ad factors. And every single thing that we communicated about the brand had that message that the client, you should feel proud about having MYCFO as your CFO, right? So I think we'll have to go a little bit. I think there's one answer to your question. I think it's probably easier to build a brand today as compared to what it was maybe 15 years back. Our learning on the brand building journey is it is not important to do big bang things, but you have to do simple things very consistently, right? So my partner Deepak Narayan, he was kind of selected as the top 100 CEOs in the country. I mean, if you look at his LinkedIn handle, right? he must be putting out at least 6 to 8 pieces of meaningful content every week. I don't know the week when he last missed it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he's traveling, he's busy at work, he's on vacation, whatever. Consistency is the key, right? I mean, if you're going to put out your message and meaningful messages on an ongoing basis, the brand will automatically get built, right? I think Girish here should share his stories, right? Because Kona Transaction Square is something that I see him posting very often, and sometimes it's very, very basic things, right? I mean, he has met a client, he's eating something, he's taken a picture outside the restaurant, and he's posting it. I think it creates, some pictures come from Varanasi, some come from London. It kind of gives you a sense of what his personality is and what Transaction Square stands for, right? Because he's almost saying that, look, it doesn't matter, something can be very fancy, something can be very basic, but Transaction Square is there everywhere in multiple cities, in multiple situations, right? So it's a little bit about, I think, understanding who you are as an individual, who your company is in terms of its DNA, what you're standing for, and then going out and doing that messaging consistently for years. Okay, this takes time. Right? The last point I want to make is, I have a lot of people in my firm who come and say, because we sometimes compete with the big four and we lose mandates, right? Sometimes to McKinsey, sometimes to PwC. I always tell them, look, it's a 150-year-old firm, right? And we are like a 15-year-old firm, right? I mean, of course, they're going to be in business, right? Because they have built the legacy. They're built, when you talk to somebody from McKinsey, you can straight away make out that you're dealing with somebody different. So you got to give these firms credit for what they've built, right? It's not easy to get there, right? So there is no shame if you feel somewhat small in front of these big brands, but don't beat yourself to death, right? Because they have had a 135-year head start over you. Who knows? Maybe in 150 years, maybe our photos will be on the wall with a mala around it, but maybe your firm's brand will be bigger than theirs. I mean, so let's not discount that possibility. Yeah, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistency.
Yeah, I think coming from media, I can tell you that brands are not built overnight. I mean, one is it takes time. So initially, from brand building perspective, it's your service and consistency, which whenever I go, I get an answer which is, what I wanted. It was what I expected of it. Every time he delivers it within so much time, of so much quality, at so much price, everything. So all these small factors goes into the brand, and then it becomes a brand.
Anyone for questions? Yeah.
I just have one input as the question comes up. That is the content cannot be technicals. The content has to be stories. So I see technical content on LinkedIn, deep case laws, analysis. Nobody reads it. Content has to be stories. Me meeting him is a story. Our friendship is a story. We went to Hong Kong together is a story. We traveled by train together was a story. We had fun together. That's a story. Stories, I think. That's why your write-ups are so popular, because your stories. You're not writing now, this is the change in India, what opportunity it creates. Who cares? Who cares?
Hi, my name is Sajal Maheshwari. I work with a venture capital firm as a head of finance, managing finance, accounting, treasury. We also work with a few portfolio companies, sub $20 million, primarily US. What we are seeing is that the entire stack of what we work with, right, whether it is accounting, payroll, compliances, all of it is coming from primarily US. There's no India stack that is global yet, right? So if we want to solve for our own redundancy down the line, 10 to 15 years, right? And if we want to invest in those tech stacks, where should we be looking for from an angel investing standpoint? Like if I have to put my own money, and you have done 100 deals, right? How do we get started into creating that sort of investing in those tech stacks, which will eventually replace us 15 years down the line from an automation standpoint?
I think that's a good problem to solve. It is, a lot of companies are solving that. If you see earlier, CRMs were not into place. CRMs were only for larger organizations. On their HRMS used to be only for larger organizations. Now that's where Darwin Box, Zing HR, they have come in and solving that problem. For CRM, Zoho came in. Then there are smaller companies called MyClient, where that is for SMEs. So these are the stacks which are coming through, which are building in on all this. So there are in parts, if you see, all those on there. Sorry, if I I think networks, networks or syndicates are the best place to start. And once you have, crossed a particular amount of investments and you are visible, then deals start coming to, as they say, deal flow is very important. Even for a venture capital firm or, angel investments, deal flow, you have to figure out, the best way of deal flow. Like say, for example, if I'm here today and any of you wants to start something, then you'll remember that, okay, fine, I heard him there, met him there, can I approach him there on that? But I think networks and syndicates are a good place to start, so that where you also understand how angel investments are being done. They have a lot of master classes every month, or every couple of months, so attend those, understands the basic of it also, look at the deal flow what they have, and that's how you can start investing as low as 2.5 to 3 lakhs.
Thank you. Venkat, you have to. Yeah.
That's
so
okay.
actually, Venkat has another session to take, so he has to leave. So thank you so much, Venkat.
Okay, thank you for having me, Chantal. And
Thank you.
I do apologize for this, but just in case you have any further questions or you want to talk to me one-on-one, please do contact Chantal. Very happy to share the contact numbers. The one thing I've been very fortunate is to have had some great guides and mentors. I cannot pay them back in any way. But all of us will be very happy to kind of help you in whatever way we can. At least kind of share the journeys and especially share the failures and mistakes that we can hopefully help you avoid in your journeys. Yeah. So wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Anyone has any questions?
Hey, hi, Chantal. Hi.
Yeah.
Actually, my question was going to be for Venkat that if you were to start writing a book about your mistakes, what would be the first one? So probably I'm going to take your this thing from Chantal to find out that question. But my question also still stands for the other panel members as to what have you learned, or you could share a couple of things that we can take from your journeys.
Okay, one is, always have 2 or 3 mentors in your life. I mean, from a career perspective or a personal perspective, those 2 or 3 mentors whom you go to every year or every 6 months and talk to them, and who can be open to give you feedback. I think that is one mistake probably I made, where, early on in my career, I didn't have this.
Cool. So, guys, can we have the questions later on? Can we wrap the session? So you can ask questions first. Is it cool? Yeah. Sure. Done. Okay. So in 1 minute, Vibha, what would you want to tell folks who have CA firms there? What opportunities can they tap into? Just under a minute.
Sure. No, well, sky is the limit. There's so many opportunities in India and so many opportunities outside of India, depending on what you are focusing on. And let me take 2 quick kind of opportunities. Compliance is great. It'll continue with automation, with AI. It'll be in a different form. It'll be there. But guys, think about advisory. The real blue ocean that we all have for us is thinking about advisory services. You get the top dollars there. And I'm a little biased there because I've seen this service line grow across our network. We are part of a group called Unison Global in 100 countries. And I've seen the advisory percentages from the mid 15, 20, they are now become 30, 35, 40 of global revenues. So audit is there, tax is there, but advisory is slowly going beyond the 1/3 in most firms. And this trend will continue. Not to say audit and tax will not grow. So focus on high-end advisory, start somewhere and then go on. So that's one piece. And the other thing is, guys, stay extremely laser focused on your game. I keep discussing, we keep in our professional CA circles, the ICI, BCS, you can't be a traditional practitioner all your life. So that's a choice you can exercise. But the real upside, the real growth comes in choosing that one thing and doing it the best. Let the other partners do the other thing. You can't be doing everything for everybody. If you can get that, and then it's like a purpose in life, then it's passion. When I see Girish on a LinkedIn or Facebook at some airport or at some place on a Sunday, I tell my team members that don't crave about work-life balance, 40 hours, Saturday work from home. Look at the passion at which one should work, and then work is not work. You're really enjoying. So enjoy what you do, create that purpose, and I think things will go really automatically.
Girish, would you want to conclude?
I think I'm paranoid. So though I see the opportunities, I'm very paranoid about also what we know. And the paranoia is as follows: anything which is knowledge is going to be disrupted. All our answers will be chat GPT. So though I see high-end advisory to be opportunity, but if I was spending 100 hours in it, it'll be 1 or 2 hours. It'll just be judgment on that opportunity. It won't be preparing books and detailed report. I don't think we do presentations. Like today, we don't have any presentations. So the volume game in advisory work will change to digital advisory, digital consulting, so on and so forth. So I'm paranoid. I don't want to be in the middle. In the middle is where we are today. We have to be in deep compliances, which is tech-enabled with low-end work, with people who are not necessarily chartered accountant, but people who are figured it out people. And then I want to be a guru at what I do, where people come to me for judgment. Today, we are in middle. If we are in middle, the firm will close down. That is what is. The opportunity is there to go up and down, but the flat line will kill us. And that's where most chartered accountants in this country are today.
I think one more area, all of us should look at is digital transformation. Though it sounds, really cryptic and everything, but the simple way of looking at it is automation. What are the tools? And most companies think that tools are very expensive. But if there is a Salesforce on one side, then there is a My Client also, which is there. If there is a SAP HR, then there is a Zing HR or a Darwin box also. So depending upon the level of the client, just see how they can automate their processes. They can have various tools which they can add for decision making. One day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Vaibhav, Girish, Jignesh. Thank you. We'll take a picture. We'll take one picture. We'll miss Venkat, but yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really, Mike is on. Thank you, Girish. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Oh, we got this something really small, but this is for you. Oh, it's okay. Oh God, I've not done all this before. But yeah, Jignesh, yours is not delivered.
Thank you.
Thank you.